Welcome back to the Sports Desk Live right here on YouTube, man. We are back. Appreciate everybody who's watching with us, whether it's on the playback, on the live playback, or on the playback in general. So we ask that you just hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're liking what you're hearing, what you're seeing. And on the Sports Desk Live, we talk about all kinds of sports, from wrestling to basketball to football, combat sports, you name it. We'll be discussing it here on the Sports Desk Live. All right, so it's your guys, your mans, one more time, Dedrick L, Hicks Jr., your very favorite sportsologist, back at it one more time.
And it's your man Black. We are back once again for another episode. One of your favorite sportsologists back in the building. D, you already know what it is, man. I miss you. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get into it, my boy. We're going to be talking some boxing today with Gervonta Davis with his big win over Frank Martin, big KO win over Frank Martin this past weekend. And then we're going to talk about the Boston Celtics winning their 18th World Championship, defeating the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games of the 2024 NBA Finals. All right. So, Black, let's go ahead and get to it, man. This is one of your favorite sports. We haven't really had the opportunity to talk boxing here on this channel, so I know you are ready to go with that. So, one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting, pound for pound, one of the best in all of the sport, Gervonta Tank Davis gets another big-time win this past weekend by knocking out Frank Martin in the 8th round with another vicious KO. Gervonta had been away from a while, had some legal troubles, had to go sit down for a little bit, took a little bit more extra time off, but he is back, and he looked like he really didn't miss a beat. So we're going to get right into the particulars here. We know Tank's a great fighter. We know Tank is talented. We know he is one of the faces of boxing. We know he is one of the pound-for-pound best in all of that conversation with guys like Terrence Crawford. At one point it was Errol Spence. It was a lot of different guys who are in that small group that you want to discuss who's the best fighter. But like the one thing on Tank that we've been seeing conversations of, and me and you briefly texted about it the other day, with this win with Gervonta Davis, he's undefeated. 20, I think he's 30-0 and 29 KOs or something like that.
Yeah, 30-0, 29 KOs. Yeah.
I mean, a ridiculous record. But Black, what's keeping the entire boxing world from saying that he is the number one guy? What do you feel that's missing there? Do you feel he's missing anything at all? Let's have a little bit of a constructive conversation about Gervonta as he heads to his next fight.
First of all, shout out to Tank, man, on a beautiful fight, man. He put on a great performance. I feel like after being away for 14 months between his fights, you thought you would have seen a lot of rustiness from Tank, which you probably did in those earlier rounds, like first, second round. You got some rustiness out of him, but he looked fantastic. D, I think the whole time we've been following Tank Davis since he became since we known about him to be Floyd Mayweather, to be his mentor, who Floyd was pushing. I think this is the best shape he's ever been in. D, he came in at a whopping 133 pounds, 2 pounds under the limit, and that tells me that he was in shape. He was ready to go for this fight. That's always been a question for Tank. Is he getting too big for 35, or is he, does he need to fight at 140? But he came in at 133, and that told me a lot right there, that it could be a long night for Frank Martin, and which it was, and shout out to Frank Martin. He came out and gave us a few good rounds, but, Tank with his, with his experience, and, the kid's been fighting since he was 6 years old. He's been in the boxing ring since he was 6, and no disrespect to Frank Martin, but he picked up the sport late. He didn't start till he was 18 years old, and he only got 18 pro fights. So you kind of had to see it coming, and it was good to see Tank, man, get back to what everyone expected him to do. Everyone expected Tank to get Frank Martin out of here, and that's exactly what he did. But the one thing is missing is like what me and you talked about, who he has fighting. I think he. Now, if you want to talk about the face, in my opinion, I think he is the face. Him and Canelo is like right there, in my opinion. based
Wow.
upon, pay-per-view. Those are the two guys that are doing the most pay-per-views right now.
Okay.
It's Canelo and it's him. So they are the face. But the questions that we want to find out and we want to know is, his resume, the guys he's fighting, what's in store. You got guys like Shakur on board. You've been hearing Lomachenko. You've been hearing Devin Haney. I mean, you've been hearing Teofimo, then throw his name in the mix. So it's a lot of guys buying to fine to try to get in the ring with Tank, and you know why? Because he a big draw. They did almost 20 million for this fight, D, which is a big deal especially for a guy and Frank Martin, who really couldn't, do much with the fight. Tank literally carried the press conferences and everything. So he did a magnificent job with that. But Tank is becoming a star, and for him to put on a big show at Mandalay Bay like that, D, it's big time. So in those opinions and things, when they come like that with the draw, I feel like he's the face. But we have to get this resume intact. It's time for Tank to really start fighting guys where we can be like, oh, at least he fought the best. It was a point in time when we was watching Mayweather being your favorite fighter all time.
Yep.
Once he started fighting guys like De La Hoya, you seen him fight the best after that. Before that, then he wasn't. But once he got in the ring with De La Hoya and started fighting the Ricky Hattons of the world, the Pacquiaos of the world, I mean Zab Judah, Shane
Togo.
Mosley, you start seeing him fight the very best. And I think that's the next step Tank needs to take. I don't want to see him fight another no-name fighter or a guy who only got 18 wins or 20 wins. No, he need to fight a guy with some experience, some guys who's going to come in there and probably make Tank really have to dig in his bag. I don't think we really had to see Tank dig in his bag except one time, and that was when he was fighting Leo Santa Cruz when he put him to rest, because Leo Santa Cruz put a lot of pressure on him. But I feel like ever since that fight, it's not really many fighters that really made Tank really work for it and really go in his bag to see what he really has, or adversity.
Yeah.
Tank, we never seen Tank in adversities. So that's something that I want to see with him. But in boxing, shoot, you don't get that sometimes. We've never seen Floyd in adversity. Floyd's always been at the top of his game. If it is one fight, you'll probably say it was Miguel
Shane.
Cotto. Miguel
Well,
Cotto,
Shane had him in trouble.
or Shane Mosley. Yeah. So, I'm just ready for the next step with Tank. But if it's one thing I feel like the narrative is out on him, then, and what's holding him back is definitely his resume and the fights that need to be made moving forward.
So not to shortchange Tank in any way, shape, or form. I believe he is one of the bright spots in the sport. He's one of the major features, placeholders in this sport. When you talk about who are the guys that are really pushing boxing, and Tank Davis is, right at the top of that list. But I want to kind of change the conversation here because, Tank gets a lot of love and rightfully so. But I'm just going to be brutally honest. Who has he fought?
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody credible on his list who he's fought. I get it in boxing or any type of particular combat sport. You got to go through the ebbs and flows and build up your resume and get to pay-per-view status. No, I'm not talking about that. Tank's been a household name for about 2 years now. I thought the Ryan Garcia fight was absolutely poppycock. It shouldn't have never happened. Why was Ryan Garcia in the ring with Tank? Like, I never understood that, but I understood it on the business side. It brought money. You got one of the big social media stars in Ryan Garcia. That's where he kind of became famous at. Not really too much for his fights, but this was a kid who had talent. He looks good, good-looking kid. You put him in the ring against Tank, and then boom, boom. What do you get? You got your theatrics. You had all your moments. I understand that. But in boxing, you get to a point where you have to start stepping in front of the guys who are prime and ready to go. This is why boxing is at such a disadvantage. Because the fights that need to happen, they don't happen. Seldom times they happen when it's too late. We got lucky to see Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Thank God that we were in a space where we were able to even see the fight come together.
Yeah,
that's a one-off. But what else do we have? You have Tank Davis, who has guys calling him out. Shakur wants that fight. David Haney wants that fight. Teofimo wants that fight. I mean, it's out there. What's preventing from the iron to strike hot? And I know there's promoters and all kind of stuff involved, But I had to tell a gentleman at my job this, yo, don't start. They want to start talking about one of the greatest of all time. Stop. Stop. He is a talent like I ain't gonna say that we've not ever seen, but he is a generational talent. Talent like Tank doesn't come by very often, especially at that 135 weight class. For him to have the power that he possesses and what he's doing to his opponents one after another, he is in prime position to be one of the greatest ever, if not the best when it's all said and done. But it's time for show and tell. We know he's got the goods. We know he's the draw. Let's see some mega fights being made because they can be. That's the thing. I can see him taking hand nobody to fight. He does. He has people who he can fight, and he may very well wipe the floor with all of them. But I want to see it. So it's time for that with Tank. So everybody because you know how it is, Black, when people and fighters win, everybody jump on the bandwagon. But everybody not really true connoisseurs of the sport.
Yeah.
Everybody that true ain't nobody want to watch. Nobody want to watch the Tank when he had that little corn fro when he was out there in Nebraska on the Terrence Crawford undercar. Ain't nobody watching that.
Yeah.
But now my boy got the beautiful braids and he got the sponsorship with all the fashion and he on. But if you're a boxing fan and a boxing connoisseur, you know what I'm talking about. The talent, exceptional. I agree with you. He's next to Canelo. I'm going to throw Terrence Crawford in there as well as and of course we can't forget the Gypsy King when he fights. I don't care what nobody got going on. They watching Tyson Fury.
Yeah, you're right.
Fury. I got Fury and Canelo as the biggest draws right now, but I think you're right on the money. I think Crawford and Tank, they kind of fill out the rest of that draw, so to speak. So on that pay-per-view level, at least. So just want to see Tank with the big fights. I want to start having the conversations after he has some big fights so he can continue to separate himself if that's going to happen. I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, I hate to use him as an example, but we thought Adrian Bronner was coming.
We did.
We thought Bronner was the next deal. And my God.
Oh, man.
Mighty have the fallen.
What?
And Adrian Bronner, but that goes with competition. That goes with focus. That goes with your training camp. That goes with the people that surround you. There's so many elements when it comes to boxing. At the end of the day, Floyd said the best. It's only one person in that ring, and it's me using these hands. Ain't nobody else's hands being used but mine.
Yeah.
And Tank Davis is in that same position. When he step in that ring, it's just him and ease. And he getting there doing this thing. So big fan of Tank. I don't want nobody to hear this and think that I'm dissing Tank. I'm not a fan. That's not what it is. I'm talking sports now. To be considered one of the best, to consider to be one of the greatest, to be in rarefied air, we just got to start seeing these fights, dog. And I think boxing is at a time now, more than ever, if a big fight can be made, it can be made. A lot of guys are taking their own journey into their own hands, a la Terrence Crawford. Like, guys are taking a journey into their own hands. And I think Tank Davis is at a spot now where he can generate a lot of interest and a lot of power by anybody who's willing to put on a boxing event. So I want to see him against the best. If we get another no-name versus Tank Davis on the next round, my conversation is not going to be nice.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be the cheerleader saying, "Oh, Tank's fighting this weekend." I might not even watch because I know what's going to happen. I'm being honest. I want to see competition. I want to see the best versus the best when we're talking about a potential great. And that's all I got to say. That's where I am with it. So congrats to him on his win. Another massive knock. Frank Martin shouldn't have been in there. When we go, and all y'all who betted $200 and $250 on Frank Martin, I'm like, what are y'all doing?
It's crazy the people that bet, bro.
Money on Frank. Why? What did Frank Martin ever show y'all to bet on him? You should have lost your money.
They ain't even watch Frank Martin fight. They just hoping they want to see Tank lose.
You should have lost your money. I mean, I'm looking at all. I lost my money. Bubba Dub lose it. Like, what y'all doing? Y'all bet against Tank Davis? He only kills people for a living legally. That's all he does. And y'all put money on Frank Martin. No disrespect, Frank, if you happen to see this. But hey, Shout out to Javonte Davis, Tank Davis. We just looking forward to seeing what next. And hopefully what's next is something big. It's something big. All right. All right, Black, let's go ahead and wrap around to the NBA. Black, we have a champion. A champion was crowned on this past Monday night. The Boston Celtics, best team in the league, wire to wire, all year long, 64-win team, multiple accolades on their roster, great players, 2 of the top 15 players in the league on their team, great bench, the Drew Holiday trade, just everything was just really, the Porzingis additions, everything was really, really worked out for the Celtics. They get to the finals. We know the conversations of Tatum and Brown and them trying to get over the hump, and they finally did. The Boston Celtics take care of the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games, and they are your 2024 NBA World Champion. Banner 18 for the Celtics. Now, personally, I'm sick to my stomach because I hate the Celtics. It bothered me and still bothers me, and I'm queasy that the Celtics are world champions. But I'm happy for JB. I'm happy for Tatum. And I ain't going to lie. I am a big fan of Joe Mazzulla. And we're going to get into him in just a second. I really, really like Joe Mazzulla. So I'm a fan of some of the people. But that Boston green, it's the ugliest color there is. It's the ugliest color there is. Black, the Celtics win their 18th World Championship. Jaylen Brown named Finals MVP. Let's wrap up the NBA Finals. What are you thinking, Black, as your Boston Celtics are your NBA champion?
Yeah, man, I'm happy for the Celtics, man. Like Jason Tatum say, man, it's been a long 7 years for those guys over there in the green in Boston. I picked them to win the series, and the reason why I picked them to win the series was the things that really stood out in the series. Derek White was big time shooting. Porzingis had a signing where he took over a game. And you had Drew Holiday just be Drew Holiday. You know, one of the first players in the league to win championship in his first year with teams. He won it with Milwaukee in his first year, and he won it with Boston in his first year. I'm just ecstatic for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Shout out to Jaylen Brown winning the MVP, man, because literally, man, took over the Eastern Conference Finals in these finals. Like, to see him, you know, his play and whatever thing. It really could have went anyway, but I believe his play in the finals, how he set the tone for them from game 1, he deserved to win that MVP. But man, I'm happy for the Boston Celtics. I'm really happy for Al Horford, man. 38 years old, been in the league for a very long time. With 186 games, he's played in the playoffs, without a championship before last night. So shout out to Al Horford, man, on getting his first ring. And Boston is not, as a team, is not going to go nowhere. We just really wanted to I really wanted to see them finally get over the hump, because it's not going to get any easier. It's not going to get easier. And we had already said if Boston didn't win it this year, we don't know what's going to happen moving forward. But, you know, Boston's not going to go anywhere. They're going to be competing because they're still going to have the same team together. And this team is from the beginning of from first tip at the beginning of the season, from last tip, they've been the best team all year. And shout out to the Boston Celtics on a magnificent year, hoisting another trophy, number 18. Shout out to the Boston Celtics on a great season. You're champions in the NBA.
Yeah, job well done by the Celtics. Wire to wire, best team in basketball from beginning to end. 64-win team. 2 of the top 15 players in the league, in my opinion, Tatum and Brown. Wherever you rank them is where you rank them. I also agree the Finals MVP could have went either way. I slided with Tatum getting it. He had 2 30-point games. He almost had a triple-double stat line for the entire Finals. But I think maybe they used just the eye test with the defense that Jaylen was playing, picking up Luka 94 feet, switching off Kyrie. You don't see that in the stat sheet. But maybe they did use the eye test there. I got to think that vote was very ultra razor close. I'm not mad about JB winning it. He deserved it because, I mean, let's call it what it is. One ain't going to win without the other. JB had to be there. Tatum had to be there for one to win this championship. The Boston Celtics was just the best team. I don't think one individual player as far as like we call out Tatum over and over and over again. But I had a realization over the finals. When you have a team like they have, it's going to be hard for somebody like Jason Tatum to be like, hey, I'm the guy. He ain't going to be able to be Luka. He ain't going to be able to be Jokic because you got another top 15 player. The best two-way player in all of basketball is Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Then you got Drew Holiday, former defensive player of the year, and just one of the best defensive guards ever played. And he can also give you 20-25 if you need it. He was big for them in game 2. And then you add Porzingis, the mismatch of all mismatches. I mean, they had every single thing that they needed, from the starters to the bench, Clayton Pritchard, the Hauser. I mean, they had everything they needed. So I'm gonna pull back on the Jason Tatum conversation that we had right before the final started, because I just sat back and said, you know what, this is just a great team. Like, he is not going to be able to separate himself and average 30, and like we normally see the best player do on championship teams. Like, he wasn't afforded that luxury because, one, they're not a selfish basketball team. You can see the way that they're coached. On any given night, I mean, Tatum he nearly averaged a triple-double. He was like 20, 24, 10, and 9 or something like that for the finals. Big-time rebounds for Tatum. Big-time assists. Should have had a triple-double last night.
Yeah.
But it's just those things. And then Jaylen Brown just so ferocious. So overall, top team, Jaylen Brown really made people shut up as well as Jason Tatum down too. But let's talk about JB. He don't know no all NBA teams, which is criminal. And he didn't even make any all defensive teams, which is criminal. How do we do that? Who's voting? Who's voting? You mean to tell me there's 15 better players in the league on an all NBA team this year? It's a couple of them. I'm just like, huh?
Defensively at that, yeah.
So Jaylen Brown really shut everybody the hell up. Eastern Conference Finals MVP, Finals MVP, World Champion, and right now, currently, because he won't be for much longer, he's the richest player in basketball. Salute to JB, his mentality. Coach Mazzulla, my God. This dude, the Celtics got so blessed. I ain't going to say lucky. When everything went down with Ime Udoka, because he's a fine coach too. Udoka, I said Boston just had him in the tuck. And then Mazzulla rises, gets him to the finals 2 years ago as an interim coach. We all know what happened. They got to the conference finals and embarrassing loss to the Heat, but didn't make it back to the finals this year and win it. This dude's mentality is so addictive.
Yeah.
I can appreciate somebody who's an absolute sicko. He wants to be great. He coaches these players with an even vanilla tone. We ain't going to get too high and we ain't going to get too low. The methods that he used, I love the stories from the players that they were saying how Mazzulla has been motivating them throughout the season and throughout the playoffs. Like, this is stuff where you can tell he has that locker room under control. Joe Mazzulla, I'm just going to go and say it. Can we dare say he's a top 5 coach in the league? It's a conversation because what he's doing is exceptional on a high level. And please don't forget, managing that JB and Jason Tatum dynamic that the media helped creates. He did a stellar job with that. So for those two superstar players to keep in it together, and you saw the genuine love and compassion and excitement between JB and Tatum. It was good to see because it goes to show you ego kills so many teams. Shaq and Kobe should have 39 championships. Jordan and the Bulls, they should have 10, 20,000 championships. There's teams who should have more titles than they have. And those teams are great and successful. But when that ego gets involved, it destroys teams. The Warriors with Kevin Durant should still be in Golden State, and they should have 8 championships.
Yeah. Ego.
But what happened there? Ego.
So
So shout out to Coach Mazzulla. Shout out to the Boston Celtics. Job well done. World champions. My stomach is hurting. I've been taking tons of Pepto-Bismol all day. Shout out to the Celtics. Black, anything to add on Coach Mazzulla, man?
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out, once basketball is all over, the stories start to come out. To hear that he has to get surgery on, he tore his meniscus because he was out there hooping with them in practice. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, but dang, okay. Then I hear, oh, well, he's only just turned 35 years old. Oh, it makes sense. It makes sense. So not only is he a coach, he's not a coach that just sits on the sideline. He's in practice, getting sweaty and going through these plays and what they need to do in the game plan every week. You don't tell your meniscus just sitting on the sideline.
No.
You don't do that. And to hear that he was hooping with these boys, man, and it was amazing. That was amazing to hear. That blew my mind when I heard that last night. They say that he in practice he was in the paint with them, going through screens, just doing everything you got to be a better team. So, and then when you got a coach like that, man, who's getting dirty, getting grimy with you, he in there with that helps a whole lot, D. That helps a whole lot. We got a coach we know that's gonna ride with us. Not only is he gonna be a guy who got the whistle and sit on the sideline. No, he can get dirty and come and practice with us and show us how stuff's supposed to be. And I like that about Joe Mazzulla, man. Yeah, he's a real leader. There was so many questions out when they lost to Duke. They was like, "Oh man, this young kid, we don't know what he's gonna do." Like you said,
people was calling for his job after that finals.
Then the way they lost with the Heat, it was so many questions about can he be a leader? Can he get him over the top? But hey, man, look at what they did from first tip to last tip. Boston's been the best team all year. Now, it's not a lot of times, D, in basketball that we can say the best team always won the finals. It's here and there now. It's here and there. You may have teams who have some of the best. You might have some teams that have the better players that win championships. But as far as being the best team all around, Boston was that all year.
It's something to be said about letting people go through a journey. The firing in the NBA with the coaches is crazy. Can you imagine if they would have fired Mazzulla after that Heat win? Fired him after that Warriors loss? Like, can you imagine? Like, if they would have did that? Like, and Malone in Denver, they could have fired him, but they stuck with him.
They did.
Like, you got to let people go through it. So how can the players go through it, but the coaches can't? The Lakers are a prime example. It's June 18th. The draft is next Thursday, and we still don't got a coach.
That's correct.
So was Darvin Ham that bad? No, he was not. Darvin Ham theoretically should still be the head coach of the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have time. We had a world champion head coach in Frank Vogel who's been fired from 2 top jobs in 4 years.
That's crazy.
Ain't had a time to sit nowhere. So the coaching aspect of the NBA is crazy. But when you look at what Boston did with Mazzulla, prime example, hey, grind it out. Experience that everybody not going to be Steve Kerr. Everybody not going to fall in a situation like Kerr did. And even though Mazzulla got JB and JT and a host of other great players around them, you still got to learn how to win in this league.
You sure do.
And Joe Mazzulla is a part of that blueprint with Coach Malone as well in Denver. Sticking it out, riding it out. Let's see if we can win. Rick Carlisle, before he left Dallas, was the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's figure it out. So it was good to see a story like Mazzulla. I'm a fan, man. I hate Boston, but I'm a fan of Mazzulla. I'm a fan of JT. I'm a fan of JB. And congrats to them, man. Like, individually, congrats to them. Congrats to the Boston Celtics, world champion. And you got to think they're going to be the betting favorite to try to repeat again next year. You got to think that's going to be high on the list. But before we wrap up the show, let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks, man. Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, that young cast of players, the coach Jason Kidd, just really just falling flat in the NBA Finals. Black, what was your takes on the Mavericks' performance, and just overall, what do you think they are? What did you see about where they were going up against a great team in Boston?
Boston was just a superior team. You
Mm-hmm.
know, no disrespect to Dallas. Dallas got Luka and Kyrie, and then they made wonderful trades. Some of the best trades at the deadline to get PJ Washington and the other guy, I always forget his name,
Goddard.
Golf. They get him, and and I feel like they were just up against it, man. Boston. I mean, Boston just had everything they needed. They was able to throw
Yeah.
3 and 4 bodies at Luka, two bodies at Kyrie. Like they had all the recipe, man, to stop the Dallas Mavericks, and that's what they did. And I believe, in my opinion, I believe Luka and Kyrie did what they could. Boston was just a better team. And going into that series, you had to know that. But like you say, D, sometimes in some series you need a killer, and they had a killer on the other side, but he wasn't a killer in the series against Boston. He was,
Yeah. Yeah.
outside of game 4, that's probably was his best game in the whole series. Luka really was up against it when it came to Boston locking him down, and Kyrie also, man. Kyrie couldn't get freed up, and then the bigs, they wasn't playing how they played against Minnesota. So I believe this will be a learning experience for Dallas. I believe they need to keep this core intact though. Maybe add a little something more, maybe a little more shooting around Luka and Kyrie with what they got, and then keep those bigs. If they can keep that intact and add to it, I don't see no reason why Dallas Mavericks can't get back to another finals.
Yeah, I just think they fell flat because of what Boston presented. I mean, defensively, they were spectacular. Really, really, really great defensively against the young bigs, Lively, Gafford, and what's my man name? I forget one, you forget the other.
PJ Washington.
PJ Washington. They did a really great defensive jobs of those bigs. They really took them away from the game. Kristaps in game 1, I mean, my God, just absolutely nuclear. The bigs weren't a factor at all. I mean, the man scored 18 points in 11 minutes. I mean, what we talking about? Like, it was 3 blocks. I mean, it was ridiculous.
We was texting. We was like, bro, we just talked about this.
That Kristaps effect. That Kristaps effect, man. Yeah. But I think the thing what I was a little disappointed was Kyrie Irving. I didn't expect Kyrie to be as bothered as he was in Boston. I thought maybe some time and going through this journey would have allowed him to kind of get over those hurdles. Now, don't get me wrong. That Boston crowd will never forgive Kyrie. And they have every right to bestow that energy that they bestowed on him every game in Boston. But you can clearly see that Kyrie is having a hard time playing in Boston. Whatever those demons are, those echoes on that floor, it is absolutely taking him out of his game. Luka, you can tell Luka had been coasting along all playoffs. No excuses here. But you could tell Luka was coasting. He was having his moments, but Luka was dealing with a lot physically. Kyrie seemed relatively healthy throughout the playoffs. I was really surprised that Kyrie wasn't able to get things going, bring Luka along, and then let Luka find his pockets, and then they just kind of do their thing. I mean, they needed a 40-40 game last night to stay alive in this series. They needed that. Because anybody with a pulse knew that the Boston Celtics was going to be on fire getting back home and trying to win this championship. I thought they fell flat. I think youth was against them with, a lot of young talent. Luka got to get in shape. Luka got to get in better shape. Luka got to take this thing a little bit more serious for the long hauls. He did not look his talent. You could tell his talent. Can you imagine what his talent looked like if he's actually in shape?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what Luka gonna be the MVP of the league if he's actually in shape? I agree with you, Black. They got a lot of great things in Dallas. They do need to add a little bit more consistent shooting if they can. But what they really need, they need an enforcer. They need somebody who's going to clean it up. If somebody getting that Luka or getting that Kyrie, they don't have that. They don't have somebody who's going to get in your face and make the waters muddy. I mean, all I like Boston had at one time with KG, Draymond with the Golden State Warriors. Like, Rasheed Wallace when he was with Detroit and Portland. Like, you need an enforcer when you got guys like Luka and Kyrie. Because if things get a little chippy, you need somebody to put some fear in some boys' heart out there. You need that. You know what I mean? So I don't think they need much. Jason Kidd is a fine coach. I think they'll be just fine. But I think we're in the era of the NBA where the compatibility, bro, you're gonna be seeing new champions every year.
You could,
right?
Yeah.
It's so much talent out here, and not to discredit Boston's run, but boy, they didn't have to face Philly. They didn't have to face the Knicks. Like, injuries played a part. The NBA is like that. Like, you just depend on, I mean, look at Boston didn't even have to face Denver in the finals. You know, so just the matchup, that stuff matters, man. It matters. So in the NBA, you're in a situation now, bro, you could be seeing new champions every year. And I think for Dallas, they gotta address their needs, get back into the mix. And you know what? They got to the finals without ever having home court this whole playoffs. They were the 5th seed. They never had home court and they made it to the finals. That's remarkable.
That is
remarkable.
Yeah.
So great season for them. I'm sure they got further than they outside of their own room, of course, that they probably thought that they would. Kyrie and Luka really gelled and clicked this year because everybody thought that they would not work. But they end up working really, really well together. Future is bright for the Mavericks. Luka got to get in better shape, command more of a leadership role, and he got to stop crying to these referees. These referees taught Luka a lesson in these finals. We ain't giving you the calls. Luka was getting slapped upside the head, and the referees weren't calling nothing.
Just the finals.
He cried. They not doing that, bro. Luka, get up and get down and go play some damn defense. So a lot of lessons learned. Luka will be back. I don't know if this team constructed will be back, but Luka gonna be back in the finals.
Oh yeah.
And the next time he gets back, we'll see. We'll see if that lesson is learned. Great season for the Mavs. 5th seed out of the West, making it to the finals. I don't think many people think the Mavs even get to the conference finals this year. Superstar talent, top 5 player in the league, in my opinion, Luka Doncic. They're going to be just fine. Jason Kidd, top 10 coach in this league. They're going to be just fine. But the Boston Celtics, better team. All systems go. Nuclear weapons all around. And they detonated the Dallas Mavericks. That's just what happened. That is just what happened. That's it. That's all. Black, anything else to add, man, before we wrap up this episode of the Sports Desk, man?
Yeah, man. Just I'm thinking about Boston, man. You look at the landscape of basketball. I just thought about something and just want to get your opinion on it. It's wild how we can, in football, we can get a repeat champion. In basketball, it's so hard now. Is the talent way more better? Is it the sport?
I think
if
it's
you
both
want to talk
sports.
about, like, it's crazy. You got the Kansas City
talent.
Chiefs with Pat Mahomes, and they're by far the superior team to everybody else. This team is literally going for a three-peat in football, and in basketball, we can't even get a back-to-back champ. Denver didn't even make it out the second round. So it's wild. The NBA is in great hands, man, because it's so widespread and talented.
So much talent.
Like you never know who's going to be that team. Boston won it this year. They may not win it next year. They might not. What if Minnesota team is turning things right? You know what? We got a taste of being in the Western Conference Finals. Let's see what that finals tastes like now. Let's see what that tastes like.
OKC could be another team.
OKC, the same thing with Boston. Boston got a taste of the finals, and they was like, we got to find a way to get back. But the NBA is in great hands. I mean, talent everywhere. A sport that you wouldn't think that would be in great hands. When you talk about American players, now foreign players, you got great foreign players. That's why I'm so excited about the Olympics this year. I think it's going to be awesome for basketball this year in the Olympics.
It is.
But man, I'm just ecstatic for the NBA, man, because we literally could see 2 different teams every year in the NBA finals.
Yeah, the parity is
a situation where we'd be like, oh man, we tired of seeing the Warriors, or we tired of seeing Boston, or we tired of seeing the Lakers. No, it may not even be that anymore. It may
Yeah,
not be that.
I think the days of the Warriors versus Cavs thing is done. You're not going to see that ever again. I don't think in the NBA. The parity dynamic is so wide verse in
Yeah.
the NBA. I think in the NFL, I think the Chiefs are just on a heater right now. I don't even know if that could be even done again, what they're doing after they kind of come back down to earth. Because even in the NFL, the talent's coming out. I just think generational wise, the athletes around, the athletes around the world playing in these professional sports. Look at the UFC. Look at like champions don't stay champions. I mean, like guys are coming. You got different types of talent all around the world in these sports, these leagues and these combat sports companies. You're just seeing variety, and it's great for sports. It is great for sports. So yeah, in the NBA, it's this time next year. I would not be surprised if we're talking about two different teams in the NBA Finals and we have a different champion. It also wouldn't surprise me if Boston goes back to back. It wouldn't surprise me with the dynamic that they have returning. But just the mere conversation of it is actually legit. So you definitely hit it on the head there. Generational talent around the globe.
Yeah, it's wild.
Filtering these leagues, man. It's just filtering these leagues.
I just told somebody at work today. They was like, "Man, the USA going to kill Olympics." I said, "Is you crazy?"
Nah, bro.
Is you crazy?
They gonna work for this goal. They gonna work for this.
Y'all must don't watch how these great foreign players we have in the league in the NBA.
Yeah, they gonna work. They gonna work for this.
I say one thing about them that's different from the US. They practice year round together. They play year round together. Once they NBA, they going over there to play with their teams.
Yeah.
What countries they from? So it's not going. We have U.S. may have a good team assembled, but they gotta make it work. These teams they finna play in the Olympics. They've been playing each other. They've been playing with each other since they were kids.
And we've been seeing that the past few times in the Olympics.
So for someone to say that so for someone to say that the U.S. is just going to walk straight through the Olympics, no, sir, you're absolutely wrong. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's good for the game.
Yes,
that's
definitely.
Good for the game. Because the ultimate platform is the NBA.
Yeah.
So that talent heads over to the NBA at some point. It's gonna be great for the game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Is global.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's just generational thing. So well, we appreciate y'all for rocking with us yet again, man, here on the Sports Desk Live. Thank y'all for the support. Thank y'all for watching videos. Thank y'all for subscribing to the channel. If you have not already, please do so. Show us that love. We greatly appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up if you do not mind. It helps push our content out into the algorithm and give people an opportunity to see what we got going on down here in Jacksonville, Duval County, Florida. All right. So I'm your guy one more time, Dedrick L. Hicks Jr. Indeed, your favorite sportsologist. Appreciate all the support. Thank y'all for all y'all do for us, and we're gonna keep it coming.
Appreciate all the love and support, man. Y'all keep rocking with us. We're going to continue to give y'all great content. Keep giving y'all the stuff y'all want to see, man. Appreciate all the love.
Absolutely. So appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all on the next go round. Hit that comment, man. We got an email address as well. Email us if you want to holler at us, man. Drop some comments. Let us know what you think about the show. If you disagree or agree with our topics, whether we talking the Javonte thing, take Davis, talk about the Celtics, whatever. If you disagree, tell us you disagree. Tell us why. Let's have some conversation, man. And we definitely appreciate the support. All right. Till next time, y'all be cool. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. We'll see y'all. Peace.